The storm is almost at that triple point here. And again, this is the Smith Lake Dam. My finger is on the Lewis Smith Dam right here. This tornado signature is crossing the southern part of Smith Lake, and that's basically where Walker, Coleman, and Winston counties all come together. It is very clear that this signature, the tornado, will be passing south of Arley. Meek High School is right here. So again, if you are in downtown Arley or near the school, again, for protection, I would be in a safe place for about the next 5 minutes, but it's clearly passing south of there. And again, it continues this northeastward motion here, and this is, of course, Coleman County. And next up will be around Brushy Pond, as Jason said, coming up toward Bremen. And these are areas hit really hard this morning. The damage in Coleman County was extremely severe from the storms we had this morning. And there's the fan. And again, Jason, you know how bad it is in Coleman, around Dodge City and Hansville and Holly Pond. The city of Coleman took a lot of trees down. And so we've got a lot of people here with no power. And so if you know somebody that is in any of these communities, we're calling out. And if you know their cell number, we're going to ask you for your help today to call them, because a lot of them can't watch television. In some cases, perhaps they can't watch, the live stream on their cell phone, or they can't hear us on a radio station. If you know somebody in the path of these storms today, we call out, call their cell phone and tell them you just need to go to a safe place and explain what you're seeing here. We're basically going to need you to assist us today because of the tremendous number of power outages we have from the massive issues we had this morning. So we have a tornadic supercell storm that is sitting at the triple point where Walker County, Winston County, Coleman County all come together. This is passing over the southern part of Smith Lake. It's really in the area near or just below Duncan Bridge Marina. And as it comes out on the Coleman County side, you've got Brushy Pond. And again, based on that photograph, again, we'll go back and show you what this thing looks like. This is from Manchester, just north of Jasper. We'll go back to the MacBook Pro, and that's the wall cloud with this storm. Now, that was probably 10 minutes ago. And at this point, Jason, it could be down. And we want to stress that. That's a still picture, but that is a very well-organized storm with good structure.
It could have an invisible funnel. This might have been the point where it actually began. And often when a tornado just gets started, the funnel is invisible until it can be clouded up with debris and dust, and eventually that condensation funnel gets all the way down to the ground. Looking at the parameters on this storm, the tornado impact is now at a 9.6, and the significant tornado index at an 11.5. And given the fact that we had those numbers back on April 15th, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, I would almost guarantee there's a tornado on the ground. It may not be a big tornado, but it doesn't take a big one to do a lot of damage, especially to mobile homes. It can knock trees down on substantial structures and crush them. 90-mile-per-hour wind may not blow a house away, but if a tree is right next to it, the tree could fall through the house and cause a significant amount of damage. We don't want you outside watching this from the front porch or from the back porch. We would prefer that you get into an interior part of your house. If you don't have a basement to get to, just get in the middle of the house in a small room, a closet that's away from windows, a good bathroom that's away from windows on the lowest floor. Storm pits and storm shelters are common in that part of the country up in southwest Coleman County, so if you got one of those, it's a good time to go ahead and go to it. We'll take these numbers off, and again, that tornado impact approaching 10, that one does max out at 10. I was not aware that the significant tornado went much higher than that, but we have a bounded weak echo region, this little donut hole that shows up near Alabama 257. Now, this radar image is about 4 minutes old, so you would imagine that this circulation that's showing up in northeast Walker is now either over extreme southeast Winston or southwest Coleman. It's somewhere there close to the Winston-Coleman County line, a little bit northwest of Cold Springs High School. This will come across Brushy Pond, across the areas there along what's known as Brushy Pond Mountain, Ben South Mountain, and then come up Coleman County 109, and then stay maybe just a touch northwest of Dodge City. So that would put anybody from roughly Crane Hill and Bremen all the way to Jones Chapel at a threat from a possible tornado. And look at that. It's wrapping up a little bit more intensely as the storm continues on its northeast track.
That thing's spinning like a top.
Yeah. Let's look at it from the Columbus perspective.
You got a B-weir, don't you?
Yep. Got the donut hole still showing up. Earlier, it was a hook. Now, a weak echo region is the hook. A bounded weak echo region is when you have that donut hole shape. And from Columbus, it looks a little bit different. James, one thing that may be happening here, too, other than a tornado, is some extremely strong rear flank downdraft winds. Notice that tight gradient on the back edge of the storm that's there near Arley. Sometimes that can be an indication that you have extremely strong winds running into the storm, and they can't go through the storm, so they either go up or go down or around. And sometimes when they come down, you can have damaging straight line winds behind a tornado that can be on the order of 90 miles per hour.
That happened in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that the damage on Loop Road was RFD damage and not from a tornado. So you're right, but look at the structure. Take a closer look at this thing. This is a very dangerous storm. And again, I don't want to get hung up in hyperbole today. You've heard us warn you about this day for several days now. But clearly, this is a situation where if you are under a warning, you want to take it seriously. There's the hook echo right there. And again, this thing is wrapped up, a possible tornado back in this back flank of the storm. That's Alabama 257. This is Arley. That goes down to Curry. For Curry, the danger is over. For Jasper, the danger is over. Unless you live right around the Smith Lake Dam or near the southern part of Smith Lake, you know, in Walker County, you're fine. It is that far northeastern tip. And again, Winston, Walker, Coleman. Large hail is falling on top of Smith Lake, and again, a tornado right now is crossing over the lake, and that will be on the Coleman County side here in just a matter of minutes. So if you are anywhere close to the school at Brushy Pond in that southwestern corner of Coleman County, you need to be in a safe place right now. We are continuing to watch for reports, and we've got our sky watchers. Not only are they out looking at this, they're also in many cases excellent at scanner traffic, and so far we've got a report first off from Brian Peters and Dr. Tim Coleman, our colleagues. They are west of Jasper, and they watched a wall cloud with this go almost overhead. It had brief rotation briefly to the southwest, but they did not see a funnel at that point. But this is much more organized right now. That was as of a few moments ago. No reports of any damage in Jasper around the 5 Points area. It's north of town, up around Farmstead School. The only reports I've seen coming out of Walker County in terms of damage, it's some trees down up around Saragossa. So far, so good. Now, look at the tornado impact number, 9.4. And the significant tornado index, we always thought that maxed out at 10. This thing has been running over 10. So, again, these numbers are just about off the chart, as are almost all of the severe weather parameters today, moving northeast. And remember, occasionally, severe storms that are wrapped up like this will move maybe a little more to the right of that mean northeast flow if the thing really starts to wrap up. But at this point, it still looks like it's on that steady northeast track, and that hook, the tornado signature, is sitting on the county line between Winston and Coleman. Now, for most of Winston County, you're not involved in this. Haleyville, Double Springs, Lynn, this is not going to affect you. This is down here in the far southeastern corner, really pretty close to the Smith Lake Dam, or just north of there. And again, that's going to be coming out on the other side of Smith Lake and then moving up here toward Brushy Pond. And then ultimately the I-65 corridor, and again, Jason will expand this out for those people that are traveling, will encourage now no travel along Interstate 65 from Blunt Springs to Coleman, in that this strong tornado indication on radar will be crossing over the interstate, perhaps somewhere pretty close to Good Hope. Of course, this is the Good Hope exit right here. That's Highway 69 north going up into Coleman, that intersects with 31 right here. That's Highway 69 south that goes down to Jasper. And it certainly looks like this thing wants to come right up here, Jason, in the general direction of Coleman. And they've taken a rough hit this morning, and here comes another one.
Right. We'll put the fan on this and give it an approximate movement up to the northeast. Over the next 28 minutes, this will be affecting places like Good Hope, West Point, Coleman, Vinemont. That's at about 3 to 3:05 between Coleman and Vinemont. Of course, those are estimated times for the center of a city. And of course, we know that Coleman and Good Hope are much larger cities than just the center of town, especially Good Hope going all the way down to the edge of Smith Lake. City limits go practically down to the park down there on the edge of Smith Lake, close to Spiegel's. So with that in mind, we've got a potential tornado that could affect a pretty large area here. You start to get into some serious seriously large population on the west side of Coleman, and then it comes across there about 25,000 people in a clustered region right there around Coleman and Good Hope and Vinemont. So this may stay a little northwest of our original tornado or damaging wind path. We're not certain which one it was earlier this morning, but certainly something happened that produced something that looked like a tornado over eastern Coleman County. And one of the things that you need to be aware of today is that regardless of whether it's 100 miles per hour in a straight line or 100 miles per hour as a part of a spinning tornado, it's got the same force behind it. It doesn't matter if it's spinning or not. If you're getting that kind of wind, it's going to do some substantial damage, and that couplet just looks incredible over southwest Coleman County. It is moving over Brushy Pond as we speak.
Well, let me pass this report on, Jason. This is from a person that lives in Curry on Burroughs Crossing Road, and they watched this go by, and they saw strong rotation, and they say it looked very low to the ground, which means there could be a tornado there. And understand, you know, people that perhaps have watched severe storms in Oklahoma, in Kansas, there are no hills and no trees out there. Around here, we have hills and we have trees, and it's very hard to see these even in broad daylight like this. This is why many of our colleagues say that it doesn't make any sense to chase in Alabama, chase storms, because you just can't see them that well. You can do it, but it's awfully hard. But again, based on that report, again, we need to take this thing very seriously. And again, this is a possible tornadic storm moving northeast. I think we can give an all clear now if you're from Dodge City south. Dodge City sits here. That's the Highway 69 south exit. This is Alabama Highway 91 right here that goes up to Hanceville. And again, we had the severe damage in Hanceville and Holly Pond this morning. This storm will be on a far northern track than that. And let's look at that Coleman sky cam. We've got a sky cam on US 278 right here. Now, we're not going to see anything at this point. We're not looking for a tornado on this shot. We're looking for the environmental conditions. And I'll tell you right now, that's amazing. The dew point is 70.
The wind is not from the north.
Right. That is an incorrect.
Wow, look at that.
And gosh, goodness gracious. Let's take a look at those cloud bases. Are you kidding me? And you know,
I cannot believe we can see that far away.
All right. So that is our wall cloud. So now we can just focus on this thing. This is the camera is a little east of downtown Coleman, but the one thing about it, that this storm is totally isolated. In that there's nothing around it, and it's not competing with other storms for inflow.
Just got a report of structural damage near Crane Hill.
Okay.
So I think we can safely say this thing's probably on the ground now.
Yeah, and again, just because you don't see a condensation funnel out of that lowering, you know, hey, there could be one down right now. And of course, Crane Hill is on the Coleman County side of Smith Lake, and a whole lot of people have Crane Hill addresses that live around Smith Lake, but that tornado, or what apparently seems to be a tornado, came down right through one of those neighborhoods that's in the Crane Hill, with the Crane Hill mailing address. And that was reported to the Coleman County EMA. So again, we've got some structural damage from this, and we're watching a severe storm right now. This is the right rear flank of the severe storm. This is the lowering back on the backside from the Coleman Skycam. And again, let's pull this out a little bit, Jason. Let me just show, let's look at the structure of this thing. One of the things you look for, you want to look for striations. And I think we can safely say that is a rotating updraft. This is the kind of thing where that looks like something you see in Kansas. It's amazing. All right, now let's go back in a little bit tighter. We'll scan the base of this thing. And this is a storm coming right for downtown Coleman. So again, look at there. Look.
There's your funnel.
Okay.
Not sure if it's down.
Right. And remember, just because you don't see the condensation, this thing could be down. The next thing you look for would be debris. Now, it's so far away from this, I don't know if we'll be able to see it, the debris this far away, but clearly this is an urgent message. This is what I would go ahead and call a tornado emergency for the city of Coleman. If you are watching us in Coleman, we want people right now to be in a safe place. If you're anywhere in the city limits of Coleman, if you are in Good Hope, you want to be clearly in a safe place. And again, we're just going to watch this thing together. We're going to have this on our camera for a long time. Coming from Coleman, we've got an incredible wrapped up thunderstorm that is rotating. We have this is the wall cloud, and from time to time we've seen that try and come down. We've had reports of structural damage around the Crane Hill, which is on the eastern side of Smith Lake, and we are going to watch this whole thing together. And the good thing about this is the only severe storm for now. in our television market. So we can focus on this, and we're not having to bounce back and forth between multiple storms, which we can do. So again, we are just going to watch this thing together. The camera, the Skycam, is located at the water treatment facility, which is just a few miles east of downtown Colvin on Highway 278. It's on top of the large structure there, and it's got a great view of the sky in all directions. That's one of the reasons we chose that. And again, this is what we're watching right here. And understand, there could be a tornado down. Just because you don't see a large wedge tornado doesn't mean there's nothing down. In a situation like this, something...
You know, James, I think in the contrast there, if you look at the contrast, I can look at it from one monitor here, and I can see some darkness. So